Hi, I'm back. I'm going to make some things with some roses and talk about some rose hips and roses and some of their beneficial uses. I have different types of rose hips here. I have these really nice big large ones, which I'm going to be saving the seeds from. They're a bit squishy, as you can see. My hands are all yucky with them. But they're really probably the best kind that I want to grow. It looks like for saving the hips to make stuff with because they're so large. See the seeds inside. The inside's all, these are all squishy, but the seeds are in there, and these little hairs, which you don't want to eat because they are itchy and pokey, and they used to use them, and they might still, as like itching powder. Here's some of the hips from some roses I have growing around the house. And then I have some that I collected that are wild, and I'll show you how much smaller they are. These are wild ones. See how much smaller they are? So I'm definitely glad I have these to try to save seeds from, because if I'm going to be harvesting the hips to make food with and things, then I want these nice, really big, large ones. I don't want to deal with these little ones, and I also even this size here. These ones, I'd rather have these large ones. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands and get the seeds out of here and just rinse them off really good, because I'm going to save them, like I said, because I'm going to try to grow these. I'm not going to be using those fresh hips because, for one, they're kind of, some of them are moldy and they're kind of fermented, and also because I don't know what was sprayed on them. I got them from outside of a doctor's office. I didn't ask them what they sprayed on them, or if they did, I just asked if I could have a couple handfuls. Yeah, I'm not going to eat them, but I'm going to save the seeds and try to grow them. But I have dried hips here that I'm going to use, and I also have dried rose petals. I know where these rose petals came from because I grew them myself earlier in the year and just dehydrated them and saved them. I think first, though, I'm going to make a syrup with the hips. So I'm going to need either 2 cups of fresh hips or a cup of dried. I'm just going to add this to a pan here. And then I'm going to add 2 cups of water. I'm just going to turn it on high and get it to boil. And then I'm going to cover it and simmer for about 20 minutes or so. The rose hips are really good for you. They have about 40 times more vitamin C than an orange. So that's really good. Plus they have vitamin A and vitamin K and some B vitamins. So they're really good for you. They're great for your immunity and fighting off colds, flu, so it's perfect for this time of year. Okay, it's starting to simmer, so I'm going to cover it and just let it simmer for about 20 minutes, and then I'll probably let it set for about another 10 minutes after that. Okay, it's been sitting for about 10-15 minutes or so. Now I'm going to strain it and separate it. Okay, I'm going to set this aside to reuse later, because I can do it a couple more times. With the liquid here, I have about a cup, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this back into a saucepan. Okay, so that measured out to about a cup, and I'm going to add, since it's a cup of liquid, I'm going to add half a cup of sugar, so it's like if I had 2 cups of liquid, then 1 cup of sugar, so just half the amount of sugar to the liquid that you have. I'm going to stir this together until the sugar gets nice and dissolved. Okay, it's all nice and blended together there. You don't have to do anything else. I'm going to go ahead and pour this in a container. Do this without making too much of a mess here. Okay, I have a nice rose hip syrup. It'll get a little thicker as it cools, that I can keep in my refrigerator and just use. Take like a spoon or so a day to help keep my immunity up. I can add it to tea or whatever. It's really good just by itself. It has like a citrusy kind of flavor. It's really good. I would say kind of orange-like. And go ahead and just put a lid on it, set it aside. I'm going to start talking about the petals. The petals are really good for you, like I said, for depression and feelings of loneliness, anxiety, to help just calm your nerves in general. I have a little more than a cup of tightly packed dried leaves, which is about the same as 2 cups of fresh leaves. And pour them in here. Add 1.5 cups of water to them. A nice lemon. This is a nice big one, so I'm going to harvest this one here off my little lemon tree. Okay, so I have my lemon here. I'm going to just squish this around just so the juice gets all released, because I want to use as much juice from this lemon as I can. I'm just going to squeeze this in there and get as much juice out of this I want. I want about 3 tablespoons of juice. I'm just going to heat the water, the lemon juice, and the petals up slowly here. Also nice in here, like roses. If I was using fresh roses, I'd probably cut off the white part of the petal, the very tip part, but since these are all dried and everything, and they're not really that bitter, just because the white part's more bitter, I'm not really going to worry about it. But when I made a jelly using the fresh petals, I went ahead and cut all the little white parts off, but I'm not going to do that with this, like I said. So I'm just going to stir this around and just keep stirring it until it gets to a nice simmer. I have a little container here. It is about a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of low sugar pectin. You don't have to use pectin to do this, but if you don't use pectin, you'll have to use more sugar, and you'll have to cook it longer to get it to thicken up nicely. So I prefer to use pectin. So I just took a teaspoon of pectin and a teaspoon of sugar, mix them together here, and once it gets to a simmer, I'll go ahead and add the pectin here. See how they're nice and cooked looking. So I'm going to go ahead and turn up the heat a bit and add the pectin. Go ahead and put that in here and stir it in really good. Okay, it's starting to bubble again, so I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the sugar. I'm going to use about a cup of sugar here. I'm just going to stir that in and then bring it back to a boil and boil it for 1 minute. Okay, now that it's at a nice rolling boil, I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for 1 minute and just keep stirring it here. Okay, it's been a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and go ahead and pour it in a jar that I have ready here. Go ahead and get a lid and put on that. Go ahead and set this aside to cool. Another great way to use the roses is to make tea. You just take some of the petals, a little tea, put it in a container, in some hot water. Go ahead and try out some of this jam. I'm going to put some in this container here. Rose jam is usually not a really firm set kind of jam, but this here isn't too bad. Doesn't it look delicious? Rose jam. Tea is really, really, really good. And really, really good for you. Jam, besides being very, very good for you and helping you to relax and put you in a good mood, is also really, really delicious. I also have rosehip syrup here, which is great for the immune system, high in vitamin C. So there's so many different things you can make with roses. If you're really, really interested, just go ahead and look up all the different benefits of consuming roses and rose petals, rose hips, because there's quite a few. I know I've missed a lot. If this inspires someone to give it a try, really good. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.